It's Tuesday, November 29th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, the 100%.
Let's do this.
I was cleaning out the junk
Your
drawer
butt?
the other day. You know the junk drawer? Everyone has one, that drawer with shit in it. Like
Okay.
random stuff, there's nowhere to put it. Like, what's this? Receipt or a key? I don't know whose key this is. Put it in the drawer, forget about it. Well, I cleaned that drawer out, and in that drawer, I found a roll of film.
Okay.
Like, it was already rewound inside the little cylinder. So it's been taken. Someone has taken pictures on it. It was like standard 35 millimeter film, the kind I used to use like at RIT. The latest date.
Was it that weird Advantix film?
No.
Okay, because that's the kind I had.
The latest date this could be from, based on my estimations of the last time I
1999 or
used.
2000.
Yeah, it is probably from high school.
The
maybe.
year 2000, which was
Maybe.
11, 12 years ago.
There's a tiny chance it is from our freshman year of RIT, but I kind of doubt that. I really wonder what's on it, and I got to find someone to develop it.
Mm-hmm.
And once I do, as long as I'm not arrested because it's pictures of, like, I don't know, some dirty bomb terrorist plot and I just found this film, then...
Yeah, wouldn't that suck? Like, you just find a roll of film and you're curious, you take it to be developed, and it's child porn, and then you're in jail because you found it on the street.
Yeah, that would suck. It's one of the reasons why film sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like if I find a USB stick on the ground, I got to go to a techie and be like, can you develop this for me?
Exactly.
Actually, some people do. I can imagine someone giving me a USB stick like, yeah, there's stuff on
I
here.
imagine, though,
Can you get
the
it off for
dumbest
me?
of the dumb people take their SD card to the drugstore and they plug it into that machine.
And have the things print out or go
Yeah.
onto a CD.
Yep.
Yep. But I went to like 4 drugstores and I realized that, oh yeah, drugstores don't really develop film anymore.
No, they just have those machines, like I just said.
Yeah. So I found a couple of places, but they're not near my work. So sometime in the next week, I'm going to take this roll of film, probably the last film I will ever touch with my hands in the rest of my life.
Well, you didn't even touch the film. The film's inside a plastic tube.
I touched the container. I will never again touch a container with film in it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless maybe I get like the old 8mm videos from like my parents' childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what's on that thing. Most likely awkward, nerdy pictures of me in high school.
All right. I got nothing.
Okay.
Okay, let's do news.
Yeah, we can do that.
So check this out. The Humble Bundles. They're coming out with a lot more bundles more frequently lately.
Yeah, but I'm less and less excited about each bundle.
Well, the thing is, a lot of the bundles, they just have shit you already got in them. It's like, come on, guys. Every bundle should have something. Should be 100% consisting of things that have never been in any bundle ever. Now, I can understand if there's some overlap between like the Steam sale and the bundle, right? But it's like this bundle's got shit that have been in bundles before.
I sadly have a much more direct reason why I'm not so excited. I
own a bunch of bundles and I've never played any of the games in them.
I haven't played more than half of the games I own on Steam.
Yeah.
Not even like haven't played a lot. I mean, have never even double-clicked on it.
Yup. Exactly.
So what do I do now?
Right, exactly. I'm basically haven't been buying any games. The only game I bought was Zelda, which is pretty good. You should get it.
Now, Scott, why aren't we playing these games? Well, because
some of the games you play for like a minute and you realize they're not worth playing.
I don't even get to that point. I don't even like click on them. You know why? Here I'm going through. Here's my Steam stats. 150 hours played of Counter-Strike Source since they started counting. Last played yesterday.
First played the day it came out.
First played before the P90.
That's right. Anyway, so the current bundle is the Humble Intro Version bundle. And Intro Version, those are the guys who made Uplink, Darwinia, DEF CON, Multiwinia.
You mean all the games that had critical flaws?
Uplink didn't really.
Oh, yeah, Uplink was okay, but Multiwinia had critical flaws.
Yes. And Darwinia wasn't flawed, but it was single player. And DEF CON is flawed slightly.
Yeah, DEF CON is a great concept, but the controls for DEF CON...
Well, the problem is that to win, you had to micromanage the airplanes and the submarines and such.
I was fine with that. The only part that sucked was micromanaging the silos because you basically had to do an equivalent of kiting where you'd have to like coordinate all the silos to make sure like 10 ICBMs are going to one place at the same time, and that was like the least possible fun you could have playing that game.
Yeah, the fun, they needed to make it more abstract to where like the micromanagement of exactly where and when you clicked at what second didn't matter as much as simply your decision of when
Actually, the fleet
relatively
movement
speaking.
and the submarine stuff, I love.
The movement, yes, but the controlling of the anyway.
Even that was fine. Literally, the only thing they needed to change is that the silos should fire intelligently if you give them a target, rather than basically defaulting to shoot a missile every time I'm ready to be trivially shot down.
Yep. Anyway, so that's the current bundle. If you haven't played those games, this bundle's well worth it, even just for uplink, because, I mean, like, you can pay whatever you want, right? So I think you can pay, like, a penny and get all this shit.
And uplink is pretty fun.
If you pay more than the average, right, which is currently $3.86, you get Aquaria, which I already have from some other bundle.
I already have that as well.
And Crayon Physics Deluxe, which I probably have from some other bundle.
I actually don't have that.
You'll also get Dungeons of Dreadmore, which actually looks interesting, and I might buy the bundle just for that. You also get prototypes of two things that Introversion made, which is a Subversion city generator and a voxel tech demo. Subversion was the game that they were going to make that was like the bank heist game, which I guess got shit canned. I don't know. But the most interesting thing of this whole bundle, and
the most interesting thing,
the reason that I'm definitely going to buy it for $3.87 or whatever, 1 cent above the average, maybe just $5 to play it safe, right? Is you get the source code to Darwinia, Multiwinia, DEF CON, and Uplink.
I did not pay attention to the news enough to know that.
That's pretty epic right there. Also, they always show the top contributors for the bundle.
Yeah.
All right. Who do you think made... Because remember, I think that for the first bundle, Notch gave the most monies, right? Who do you think is the number one contributor for this bundle?
Number one contributor?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
It's another bundle took their money and gave it to this bundle.
What?
The
Really?
Humble Brony bundle gave $12.50 to the Humble Introversion bundle as the number one contributor.
Wait, $12.50?
No, $1,250.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a Humble Brony bundle.
What, pray tell, is in the Humble Brony bundle? Is that just all those kind of knockoff platformers that have a Rainbow Dash in them?
Humble Brony bundle.
Or is it 10 dating sims?
Hold on.
And then some sort of like erotic dating sim.
The Humble Brony bundle is currently at $35.12, so $12.50 of that they gave to Humble Introversion bundle, right? Humble Brony bundle, packs of games, Humble wait, ponies come together, create a fund. Oh, it's a way for bronies to come together and create a fund to buy one big copy of the Humble Indie bundle.
So then.
So there you have it. They pooled their money to buy the Humble Indie bundle once, and they're at $35.12. They've only given $12.50 so
That was
far.
sadly anticlimactic because I know for a fact that
I wish that they had a bundle of like something. But anyway,
because have you seen there's this amazing trend of, because people are really big into doing remix stuff with the ponies, is that a ton of people think that they're going to make like the next great game with ponies. There's like 10 different groups of people making like dating sims and platformers and quest
there's a
games
Phoenix
and
Wright
RPGs.
one, there's MMOs.
I don't know. As much
There's
as I would like to play one of those, I
point-and-click
think a Bobo's Big Adventure is what I'm waiting for the
Bobo is
most.
definitely where it's at. Also, plenty of the games that we've been waiting for a long time are still not out yet. Retro City Rampage,
Monaco,
Spy Party. Come on, guys.
Yeah, Monaco, I would pay a lot of money for just
Come
to
on,
be able to play
guys.
right now.
Seriously, those games, they're going to be out probably within the next 2 years.
The crappy, not finished version I played at PAX a long time ago was enough for me to pay money.
Right, so within the next 2 years, all three of those games will probably be out. And yeah, that's it.
Sadly, of all these games, right now, I'm most looking forward to a Bobo because it gives me everything that I like about Charles Barkley's Shut Up and Jam Gaiden without it being a JRPG.
Exactly, my thoughts. 100%.
So there's an article on Slashdot, and it amazes me that articles like this get written or that anyone even... Rick Romero would be proud. Why it sucks to work at Zynga.
Well, why wouldn't it suck to work at Zynga?
So, all right, so you work for a company that makes things that I would barely classify as games.
They should make an article why the good parts about working at Zynga, because I assumed that all the parts were bad. So it's like...
According to the article, like I actually read these articles and read some of the comments and everything, and the consensus seems to be that EA has much better working conditions.
I can't imagine.
Which is kind of amazing. But really, Zynga is...
Man, Foxconn has better working conditions.
Zynga is perhaps the most destructive force in gaming the world has ever seen, but I can't blame them because they don't actually make games. It's like they're making a different product that the average person conflates with games. Like they think that, I don't know, Tribes 2 or Skyrim somehow on some level competes with like a click on stuff to level it up game in Facebook.
Well, it takes people's time. There's people who do both, and their time. It's weird, right? Because with most games, at least, that aren't subscription based, right? It's not about how much time someone spends. It doesn't correlate to how much money they make. It's just, did they buy the game or not? Like, what do they fucking care if you play Skyrim? You bought it. They shouldn't even give a shit if you play it for 1 second or
now,
1 year.
Maybe they care because
in fact,
the designer likes you to enjoy the game or something, but that's not a business concern.
Right, but in fact, they'd actually probably like it more if you didn't play the game so much, because then you'd need something to occupy your time and you would buy a different game. If you were so obsessed with Skyrim that you played it for like a long fucking time,
no, then
you
they'll make
wouldn't
plenty
be
of money
buying
off
other
of you,
games.
Scott, because horse armor. They'll sell you DLC and you'll buy it gladly.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Right? But that's why they're doing that now. What instead they should do is they should make games that cost $1, but only occupy you for like 5 minutes, so that you have to spend another $1 5 minutes from now on a different game instead of a DLC for a big game that anyway.
But it's weird because on one hand, I could argue that things like that, the things they make, on some level do compete with games. I'll bet that Nintendo is actually hurting from the fact that, all things considered, in the end, the average really young child is going to have as much fun playing Diner Dash as he will playing a $50 first-party Nintendo game on a DS.
Yep.
And they already probably have an iPhone for the kid.
Yep.
But on the other hand, at least when people, gamers complain that Myst ruined gaming. Scott used to always say that because Myst was a game that came out that wasn't that great.
Myst did create a large pile of crappy games, and it did have a profound effect on gaming for many years that has only recently worn off. And it was, if Myst had not come out in the fashion that it did, the gaming for the course of those years would have been significantly different. And I argue,
true. I did not say you were wrong, because Myst.
For people who don't know, right? So here's the basic argument, right? Myst was a game that had graphics that were basically astounding for its time.
But no, they were astounding to people who didn't know better because they were basically just stills.
Right. They cheated. What they did is, right, when you have a computer, right? People always, I remember wasn't Emily's boss who was like they wanted the game to look like Toy Story, right? The reason that Toy Story looks better than video games is because they render Toy Story very slowly. They can spend an hour rendering one frame if they want, because after the frame is rendered, they just save it to a hard drive. And then you can watch the frames at 40 whatever 30 20 whatever frames a second that the movie is, and you don't have to render them at the same speed that you're going to watch them. Video games, you need to render the frames as fast as the person is looking at them, which means you need to render at least 75 FPS if you have a 75 hertz display. Which means that you had to decrease the quality to be much less than Toy Story, which is rendering probably a frame a second at best.
And Myst came out in an era. I mean, Myst had talking videos in it, and still.
So
that was an era when I was amazed that a MIDI file would play in a game.
So Myst was a game that had all of its graphics pre-rendered and stored on a CD-ROM, as opposed to being rendered in real time by a video card. So even for years
card.
Yeah.
Back then,
no, video cards didn't exist then.
That was video memory on your computer.
Right. So in those days, it took years for it to be a game that looked as good as Myst that wasn't also pre-rendered. And as a result, the standards for what people expected of video game graphics went way up.
Kind of like the difference between like Rebel Assault, I think it was called, versus TIE Fighter.
Also, people sold a shit ton of copies of Myst. It sold a ton of fucking copies for
Now, at the same time, see, Scott, I would argue
even among normal people, so
that it wasn't Myst's fault because.
Well, you're saying that it was inevitable.
No. I'm saying
someone
that
was going to do
I think Myst was a pretty crap game, and I think the puzzles were pretty arbitrary and crap.
Well, yeah.
But I understand why some people would like that game. The problem wasn't that Myst created these expectations. The problem was that the game industry, the people who made the decisions as to what games to make and what demographics to go after, saw Myst come out.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And decided that is the way to go. It wasn't Myst's fault.
Yeah. No,
it was everyone else's fault but Myst.
Well, no, but that's the thing. It was still Myst's fault, right? Myst had these pre-rendered graphics
That's like
that were
blaming
amazing.
the kitten that Hitler tripped over.
No, it's not.
For the genocide.
They saw it sold incredibly well with these pre-rendered graphics. Thus, the people in the game industry saw that as the example example and believed that good graphics were going to sell a ton of copies.
But
so for
here's
years,
the rub.
they put graphics ahead as a higher priority than everything else.
Scott, they didn't think really
and
about
only
why
recently
it sold.
have they realized their mistake.
Because the graphics were part of it, but part of why it sold is it was kind of a lot of the people who got into Myst were not gamers until Myst. They didn't play games. They didn't think of games. Like gaming on a computer was not something they did. And Myst was kind of this thing that like a lot of moms and a lot of non-gamers really got into, and that was great. But the rest of the industry said, "Oh, look at all these people buying this game." And they were more interested in money than, whatever demographic they might have been targeting in the past. So they decided to shift gears and all go after this one new, poorly understood demographic all at once. I feel like the current game industry is doing the same thing. They look at Zynga,
only instead of it being graphics based, it's
it's basically business
Angry Birds based.
Except Angry
Farmville
Birds is a pretty
based.
good game.
It's the best of them.
Yeah.
It's playable.
It's more that Angry Birds at least is a game. The majority of the Zynga stuff, I would argue, don't meet any reasonable definition of game.
But anyway, Super Stickman Golf. Let me tell you, that's the shit. You should get that if you got a phone.
I saw you guys talking about that while I was in Japan.
Super Stickman Golf is the business.
But anyway, things of the day. I haven't used one of these in a while, and partly because they've passed. They've had their time. I used to love.
You seen one? You seen them all?
Well, partly that thanks to the internet, I think I have seen them all.
I have also
It
seen
is
them
very
all.
rare that I see a fail video that is not just basically a retelling of a fail video I've already seen.
Yep.
And in those rare instances, I'm very surprised, but at the same time, I feel like my cup runneth over. I can only see so many people hit in the nuts by their own stupidity before I no longer care. So I present to you the fail collection of 2011.
Well, it's the November, I think, specifically.
Might be. I don't know. It was on College Humor recently. If you have not watched fail videos before, many people I know have not. It was a thing that was actually surprisingly, in many ways, at least among my kind of crew, bigger 10 years ago and kind of faded a little bit. Because there's no longer the mystique of like, I got this video of a guy crashing a helicopter. Now it's all just on YouTube. You can type in the specific kind of fail you want, and YouTube will give it to you. This, however, is a classical collection of fail, because unlike a lot of misnamed fail compilations, as far as I could see watching this, every single one of these was the result of a person taking an undue, unnecessary risk with improper equipment and or being drunk.
And deserving it.
Yeah, it's not like, random guy gets, like a helicopter falls on him. It's guy is a dumbass and pilots a helicopter incorrectly.
Yep. Anyway.
I present to you a failed video.
Sure. So one of the things that we hate the most, slow people on the sidewalks and the stairs and the platforms and the places where there are bottlenecks of humanity.
I mean, I understand that they don't have anywhere to be, but I got places to be.
That's right. So at least walk single file and stay to the right so I can go past you like lightning. Pachoo! You won't even see me, be like Rainbow Dash. Oh, shit. Anyway, some guy in Japan, he has the same problem as us. He hates the slow-walking people. He just wants to burn by them.
Oh, my God. Scott, when I was in Japan, I don't think you understand how slow people walk there.
They were going so slow, right? So this guy, being Japanese, where, they have the skills to solve every problem known to humanity, has solved the problem of the slow-walking person. He took, just watch the video.
Two problems. One,
Genius.
This would only work in Japan because of the way Japan is when it comes to laws about what constitutes a thing that is allowed to be on the sidewalk or not allowed to be on the sidewalk. Yep. Two, it only works because it's Japan and people pay attention to
this wouldn't work
thing.
in New York, or I would do it no matter how awkward.
I do it in New York. I use that device when I'm on the thing to which that device is usually attached. You know what? No one has ever responded to it, except once a guy turned around and flipped me off.
That's right. But anyway, this guy is genius.
In the meta moment, we will be at MagFest. We will be on 2 of the Gaming Intellectuals discussion roundtables. One of those will have the Dr. Hazard on with us to ream us a new intellectual asshole. We will also be doing Advanced Beyond Dungeons & Dragons 3.0.
Why don't you just call it Advanced Beyond Dungeons & Dragons and leave it at that?
Yeah, I don't know what we're calling it. Basically, we're redoing the old Beyond D&D panel because that was our first that was the first panel we ever did at a PAX, and I feel like we can do better now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we've played a lot more indie RPGs since then. We are going to be at a Nerd Night on December 8th, giving a short version of Losing Should Be Fun. and I'll post a link to the details and all that. So if you're in the area and you're okay with, I think, paying some money to see some geeky lectures.
I wouldn't pay.
Yeah, I don't pay
to
for
see
anything.
us, I wouldn't pay.
It depends.
I mean, this isn't like going to a convention where you're paying to get into PAX and you're giving us an hour of
No,
your
there's
PAX
someone
time.
else doing a lecture
Who is
before
it?
ours. I don't know. I didn't look.
Are they better than us?
I don't know. It might be about biology or something.
Oh, so we're the last? It's just 2 people and that's it?
I think it's just 2 lectures.
And we're number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I barely know. I had email
We don't even know what
conversations.
we're doing? We agreed to a thing that we don't know what it is?
It's Blues Brothers. I found us a gig, Scott.
Dude,
Got
great.
the band back together.
Okay.
Yeah, that MagFest PAX East is coming up. If you haven't already bought your badge, well, you're a dumbass. Buy a badge.
If you didn't get your hotel room, what the fuck? PAX East and MagFest. If you're planning to go to either one of those, you should already have your badge and hotel right this instant. If you didn't get it yesterday, you fucked up.
The current book club book is
A double book club. You have to read The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which should take you about an hour or 2. And then you have to read a real book also by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which is Wind, Sand, and Stars. It may have a different name in your country. Refer to Wikipedia for more details.
Yes.
Also,
go
to the internets and look for Geeknights on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and FrontRecruit.com and all those places.
In fact, most importantly, because I realized lately that
Whatever place is most convenient for you.
the majority of you out there who listen to Geeknights do not participate in our forum or anything on the website. So I figure I should tell you all that all of the lectures we did at PAX East last year are on YouTube in their entirety. And I'm uploading stuff that we did from PAX Prime this past year, and videos from Burning Con, and videos from the New York Comic Con, and basically the Geeknights Rim YouTube channel has a fuck ton of videos of stuff that we have done. So Scott, what was the last game that you 100%ed? Like actually really 100%ed?
Like, I got every single thing there was in the game to get.
There is nothing left in that game for you to do.
I can't even remember if I've ever...
That is a tracked thing.
I know I've 100%... I got to go back to the... It's like I have to work my way forward, right? It's like I know I 100%ed Mega Man 2.
I did Zelda 1 First Quest.
No, I've 100%ed Zelda 1.
I'm pretty sure I 100%ed Zelda 1 Second Quest, but back then there weren't percent indicators, nor were there achievements. I don't know if I got every Show Me the Door charge or not. I assume I did.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. I don't know if that counts. Yeah. I have not 100%ed Super Metroid or any Castlevania or anything like that.
Well, see, it's tricky because 100%ing.
I 100%ed Pokemon Red. I caught all the Pokemon because my brother had Pokemon Blue, and we were able to do it.
Final Fantasy 1, 4, and 6.
100%.
As in, I leveled up Rydia until she had Meteor. I also got all the broken, weird summons that you can get in the US version of the game.
Pokemon Red. Since then,
I 100%ed Advance Wars, Advance Wars 2, Advance Wars DS.
I 100%ed Mario Kart
and Advance Wars DR.
Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario Tennis for the GameCube.
It's funny because I would say that I 100%ed Castlevania DS, the first Castlevania on the DS, but while I did get all the items in the game, I don't think I actually got. I don't know if I got like every monster. Like I think there's some things I didn't actually get.
I did all the Phoenix Wright games, except for the Edgeworth one.
So what does the 100%ing actually mean? Because in the past there was no way to know. There wasn't like an indicator.
Super Metroid, I think, was perhaps the first game with an indicator. I'm guessing.
Yep, it just told you, did you get everything or not?
Right.
Every
it's
secret.
Like, did you? Because you could beat the game without getting, say, all the energy packs.
Now
right?
Doom 2 had the percent meter where it'd tell you whether or not you got all the secrets.
Doom 1 had that too. That Wolfenstein had that.
Oh, I 100%ed both Dooms.
Wolfenstein 3D.
I did not 100% Final Doom.
Wait,
or
did
any
you
of the
really
other Dooms.
100% Doom as in kill every bad guy, get every item, get every secret?
As in every level. I beat every level of Doom 2 in Ultra Violence, getting 100% on all the indicators.
All 3 indicators, 100% every single level?
Yeah.
Really? Whoa. Like,
Scott,
that means you killed every bad guy.
Scott,
and you got every item.
I played
and you opened every secret.
Ever-living fuck out of Doom 2. I don't think you understand how much of my life was dedicated.
That's a little hard to believe.
Scott, remember when we played Deathmatch in Doom 2?
I'm just saying, it's hard to believe that you actually 100%ed all 3 categories in all the levels. It's easy to believe you beat all the levels and that you maybe even got all the
There
secrets.
may have been a level
but
or
to
two
kill
where
all the bad guys.
there
in
may have
every
been a
one of
level or
those
two where it
levels?
was actually impossible to do the 100%. I don't remember if that was true or not because it's been.
Yeah, it's like, is there enough ammo to kill all those guys?
Oh yes, trivially.
I don't know.
Scott,
On
you realize I pretty much
Ultraviolence-
used the single shotgun through most of the game on most of the bad guys.
Well, of course, that's what you use, period, in the game, no matter what.
I also used the chainsaw a lot because on Keko Demons it worked pretty well.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is always enough ammo if you use the chainsaw.
Yeah, unless you forget to pick it up like a dumbass.
It's like you could even use, theoretically, you could use the fist, and you could have enough ammo to beat the whole game.
Scott, I got bored enough to where I made custom levels with like 5 cyber demons and killed them with fists.
I've killed a single cyber demon with the fist.
You had the rage power up though, didn't you?
I don't know. I just run around behind him, punch him in the back till he turned around, and then run away, and then get him in the back again, and keep doing that for a
plus remember,
long fucking time.
Doom 2.
And you just dodge spend most of your time dodging rockets, 99% of the time dodging rockets, and 1% of the time punching him.
Yep, Doom 2 feels way more difficult than it is. But anyway, I digress. I don't think Doom 2 100%ing was nearly as difficult as Advance Wars 1 100%ing. I mean, beating that advanced campaign with a perfect
score. I
score.
can't even beat Advance Wars 1 on regular campaign.
Although
I think I actually did eventually do that.
I don't remember if it was the second to last or the last mission of the advanced campaign. And remember, you had to beat the regular campaign with like different directions and different decisions in order to get different characters.
I can't even beat the fucking owl in the other
But
ones.
it came down to like you had to move this transport with like an infantry in it. Like I think you had like 1 or 2 transport choppers with infantry, and there's like nothing but fighter jets. You had to move every round the exact right position with every single one of your units every round. One mistake, game over. You're not going to get the perfect score.
Yep, because that jet's going to score. Boom. That's it.
I don't know what possessed me to do that.
I don't know either.
Yeah. But so what's the deal? Why don't we 100% games anymore?
Because it's not worth the fucking time.
So why was it ever worth the time?
Because we had a shit ton of free time and nothing to do.
Is that really it? Or has the bar been moved in terms of what constitutes 100%?
Well, I think both, right? So on the one hand, right, take for example a game, back in the day, I had time to beat a game, such as, a Zelda. But because I had lots of free time, I didn't just rush for the Triforce. I would go around to, and bomb all the walls in the dungeon looking for goodies because I had time and I didn't have money to buy so many more games. So if I stopped playing that game, what other games were there? Well, there were a bunch of games that I also had played a bunch, and I wasn't getting new games constantly. I didn't have so many games in a bundle that I couldn't even play them all. So you were going to play the games that you had more. You were going to go back to the bin and play a game you beat again. And if you're going to play a game you've already beaten to get more entertainment out of it, you're going to start poking around. In addition to that, right, you have the fact that, if you're 100%ing, say, something like Super Metroid, right, all the stuff that you would get by getting 100% was missile packs, energy, packs, things that actually, improved, things that you wanted to get anyway. Even Pokemon, which 100%ed, it's like, well, you caught Pokemon. You were actually doing something for the game.
Now, I think you're onto something because I feel like a lot of the 100%ing kind of meta motivations in gamers today are just that. They're meta. They're not direct to the game. It's like, oh, you got 1,000 Baphomet throughout the game.
Well, the
Good
perfect
job.
example is Super Smash Brothers. Congratulations, you collected all the little action figures for the gallery.
Yep, or Minish Cap. Well, you use those shells to use the slot machine to get all the whatever the fuck they were.
Right. It's like that shit just doesn't mean anything. Now, in Super Smash Brothers, of course, you're going to unlock all the maps and you're going to unlock all the characters and maybe even, things that matter, all the items and stuff like that.
Now, there was a time when that was the only...
the stupid action figures if you have better shit to do?
There was a time when 100%ing, even games that tracked it, that was all that mattered. There weren't so many meta things. Maybe there was like the one weird thing, like find the item that doesn't do anything.
My actual earliest memories of games that did this sort of thing were a lot of the early Game Boy Color games. Like you look at something like Game & Watch Gallery, or even I think Super Mario Brothers Deluxe for the Game Boy Color, which is one of the best releases of Mario Brothers there ever was.
Far and away.
Had like this stuff that you could like collect for Mario and shit, like, and I think if you had like a Game Boy printer, you could print out different stickers you collected and unlocked. It just had some shit like that in there, and it's like you had to beat levels collecting the coin, and it's like, why even bother? It's like you beat the game, you play all the levels, collecting all the coins. What does it get you? Some pictures show up? It's like, what do I need these pictures for? I can go online and look at the pictures. Why do I need to spend my time unlocking useless pictures in a game?
Yep, because when I think about it, every game I've 100%ed, it has been a game where I got some like contextual reward for doing that in the game. Like I've got some power armor now or something.
Yep.
And it was also usually not like the game wouldn't say, oh shit, you 100%ed me. I just kind of knew that I've got like the biggest, baddest thing. Like in Castlevania DS. I don't know if I actually 100% of the game. I have to go take my DS card. I don't even know if I have it anymore, if I gave it to someone or whatever. But when I got Death's Axe, like the axest fucking axe in the game.
The most axe.
Yeah, I got the most axe by
Most
using the
dangerous.
boss's soul on the second most axest axe to make the axe.
Yep.
That would basically kill fucking anything in the game with one hit.
Yep.
I felt like that was 100%. Like I felt fulfilled. I felt like there was nothing left this game had to offer me.
Right. It's like you got the most powerful thing there is. You know, it's like I was playing Fallout 3. Did I 100% Fallout 3? Just because I played it without any DLCs, the original regular, and that's the only Fallout 3 I played. I didn't even go to the White House. I know there was shit in there. I didn't even go in there at all. Didn't even go in it, right? So I definitely didn't 100% the game, but I had, at the end, right, I saw the endings. Well, I got one ending, and I watched the other ones on YouTube. And I had the most powerful armor with the most powerful weapons and the most powerful shit. So why the fuck would I need to go in the White House? There's some plot in there that I could just go watch on YouTube. Why would I waste my time?
Unless there was something fun to do in there.
Yeah, but even so, it's like I didn't care. I was just done. And I think that's pretty much what it comes down to is these days, games are just trying to get players for whatever reason to play them more. It's like people want to,
Well, this is when I realized this was a problem. Well, not a problem. This is when I realized that I had a problem with it. I was playing Super Meat Boy, which is a great game. I fucking love Super Meat Boy.
It's a good game.
But early in, I saw a bandage. I was like, oh, I guess I can get those. I will be rewarded somehow. And it looks like, I'm a badass.
Well, you
of course
unlock
I can get 'em.
characters with them, which is actually a thing that's real.
Yeah, except there's too many characters, and most of them are not fun. And there's so many characters that I would never play every level as every character, so I just immediately kind of like didn't care about that.
Yeah, I didn't care.
And also, Super Meat Boy was the only one that was satisfying to play as.
Yep.
But more, it was the difficulty of getting all of them
Was so great.
There was an
It would have
explosion of
taken
difficulty.
so much time.
And it came down to I got like the first like ton of them. I got a whole ton of these stupid bandages.
I did barely got any because I
and then
sucked.
there was one that was really hard to get. And I was like, all right, I'm not even going to go after that. That does not look fun to deal with those rotating blades or whatever. And then I realized that, all right, I saw a bandage in the next level. And I realized, wait a minute, even if I get this bandage, I won't have gotten all of them. So I have zero bragging rights as far as anyone in the world is concerned. And I know I'm never going to go back and get the bandage I just skipped because I skipped it for a reason. I'm done. And I just never went after a bandage again.
Yep.
And then I beat the game, and then there's a million more levels I could play, and hell mode, and I gave up on hell mode like right away.
Yeah. I mean, I could
It
do
wasn't
it.
that it was too hard, is that there was too much of it. Like I'd lost the mojo of Super Meat Boy right about when I beat the game. But because there's more, I have this weird, I don't get the satisfaction I used to get from completely beating a game. Like when I beat Zelda 1 and I beat the second quest, I felt like I had conquered that game. The game had nothing left to offer me other than to show off to other people how much of a goddamn badass I am.
Mm-hmm.
But Super Meat Boy, I've not even beaten half of what the game has to offer me, but I've already beaten the game, but I haven't really beaten it because there's so much more in it. And I feel like less fulfilled as a result.
I think part of the problem there, right, is let's look at Super Meat Boy, perfect example. A lot of that extra stuff in Super Meat Boy, for example, Hell Mode, right, is the same game again, slightly harder. Right? It's not actually more levels. If it was you beat the game and then, oh shit, guess what? There's 10 more levels.
But then there's what? It's been so long, I already forget Cotton Candy Land or whatever.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like,
That's new levels.
Yeah.
But I didn't even deal with that. I started playing that and I was like, all right, no.
That's the other thing, though, is that not only is that most of that other content not fresh content, but they gave you a game ending. there isn't another better game ending that's as satisfying and plot fulfilling and all that other stuff.
As opposed to, say, Castlevania games.
Right.
Metroidvania
If you wanted to
games.
make the game 14 levels instead of 7, you should have just made it 14 levels and then the ending, and I would have played all 14 levels. But because you made it 7 and then the ending, and all the other content was just sort of extra, I didn't play it. There's some psychological thing going on there.
Yep, the biggest example of this I have is, say we made a new Zelda game that had 11 dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. And you beat the game and you get Zelda whatever.
And there's a second quest where
No, not even a second quest. After you beat the game, it opens up a menu item, dungeon mode, and there's 100 dungeons in there. You just go in and play these individual
Twilight
dungeons.
Princess has like the pit of like 100 dungeons or something.
Yeah, how much
like
do you
that.
play the pit of 100 dungeons?
Barely.
Yeah, because it's not... There's definitely psychology going on here. It's definitely
I mean,
a failing of the human psyche, but I
Paper
can say...
Mario Thousand Year Door had a pit of like 100 enemy battles or something.
I can say definitively that for myself, part of the only reason I will ever play a Nintendo hard game, and you all know what I mean by Nintendo hard, like Ninja Gaiden, is because there's a point at which I beat it, and when I beat it, that, like, the catharsis, the release, the feeling of beating a game that's Nintendo hard and seeing the ending and knowing that you did it without cheating is indescribable because I've experienced it so few times in my life.
Because you suck.
How many Nintendo hard games have you beaten in your life?
All of them.
Yeah. All right, let's play some Ninja Gaiden right now. Let's go.
All right. Sure.
So, but if I beat Ninja Gaiden and then there's just 100 more levels and there's no further ending, like there's no like amazing, like, oh my God, you're the holy God person, you've beaten this game at the end. I just like the challenge is too much, and making it halfway through that challenge
and it's like,
feels worse than never trying the challenge at all.
And it's like, what's the point? Look at Torchlight, right? Torchlight is Diablo. You click and click and click and then it's over, right? But after you beat it, there's a whole bunch more levels. You can just keep clicking and upgrading. But for what? What am I upgrading for? To just beat all, And it's like, but Torchlight 2 is supposedly going to have more levels before the end. It's also going to have co-op. So you know what? I'm probably going to click and click and click until the end of Torchlight 2, even though it's a lot farther than the end of Torchlight 1. Right? I'll probably, because that's where the end is. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you give me a beverage and it's an 8-ounce glass, I'll drink the 8-ounce glass and no refills. If it's a 12-ounce glass, I'll drink the 12 ounces and no refills. If it's 24 ounces, I'll drink 24 ounces and then no refills, right? But
and that's why America is fat.
And these games, what they're trying to do is they're basically refilling, right? Is they give you a refill and say, yeah, to do 100%, you need to drink the glass 3 times. And I'm like, yeah, no matter how big the glass is, I'm always going to drink exactly 1 glass, because then I'm satisfied.
Now, there's one
psychologically.
I think there's another thing that'll cause me to 100% a game, to actually, go for this. I 100%ed every Advance Wars, and when I think about it, it's because it gave you a score.
That was released in the U.S.
Yeah, because it gave you a score in every level, and the game was so well designed that the A rank, S rank, whatever really did mean something. Like it means kind of discrete levels of mastery, because there was a limited number. Like in the newest Advance Wars, which as far as I can tell is the last Advance Wars, you bastards. There are, I think, 64 levels in the game. So if you play them all, you can beat them all, and you've beaten the game, whatever. But then,
including the battle room and everything.
No, the battle room you don't get scored, which is brilliant actually, because the AI cannot beat humans in any of those maps.
Okay.
Because the AI is not tuned to those maps. Those are really only for multiplayer. I have played them all, but I digress. But I
remember in some of the Advance Wars you did get scored in the war room.
Yes, you did. And you know what? In the Advance Wars where you got scored in the war room, I perfect scored every single one of them.
I know you did.
Yes. But there were 64 levels in the grid, and it shows you your score. And I'd look at that score, and I'd see all S's, and there was one like A, and one.
Well, if you'd already gotten that far, right, it's not that much more to just polish it off.
Yeah, but there was a point when it was all S's, and then there were like 4 or 5 C's.
Yeah.
And
But we're talking about a situation where, like, let's say you beat the game and the screen is just full of B's and A's, and there's maybe a couple S's out there.
I would go for all S's.
I would just
If
I'd
it
just be like,
were-
all right, I'm done.
But here's the thing: if it were a good game, and if the I guess explosion of content was not too great, Super Meat Boy had too much post game content, so I didn't care, and the delineation between getting the S rank versus the A rank on an individual level was not tuned well enough for me to feel like it was a worthwhile accomplishment to get like the S rank everywhere.
There's also the fact that, right, it's like I just want to get this it's like diminishing returns of enjoyment, right? It's like I enjoyed playing Super Meat Boy, the last level, so why wouldn't I enjoy playing the hell level? It's like, well, I probably would, but I've gotten enough of it now, and I have all these other games to play and books to read and movies to watch and things to do. So after you've sort of gotten, you start to get diminishing returns after a certain point of your psychological entertainment value from especially a single player game, that you really are better off switching to something else. Whereas, like I said, when you're a kid, you don't have something else to go to. So you're going to squeeze every last drop of juice out of each and every orange.
I still think it's a little more nuanced because in my Advance Wars example, I had plenty to do. Advance Wars, the latest one, didn't come out that long ago. I had plenty of entertainment
I guess
options.
you just love Advance Wars so much that there's not diminishing returns for you.
It's because even if it was going to be diminishing returns, the scope of the post-game content was reasonable and manageable, as in you could look at it immediately after you beat the game and say, I can do this. But I looked at the sheer number of levels I could do in Meat Boy after I beat it and said, I can't do that. The amount of time it will take me to beat this is more than I am possibly, conceivably, in any universe willing to spend. Therefore, I'm not even going to start. I'll only start odysseys like this if I believe I can finish them.
Yeah, well, I mean, but think about it. It's not just if you believe you can finish it. It's how much time it will take.
No, if I believe I can finish it, I probably will do it.
But it's like, I believe I can beat every single Meat Boy with perfect honor and collect every bandage. But
I don't believe I can.
I believe I can. I just also believe it will take me 3 years, in which means I'm going to dedicate 3 years of my short time on this earth to Super Meat Boy. It's like, fuck no.
Well, no, when I say I can, I say I can't because I looked at it and there's so many levels. I knew I would get bored before I would finish it. And as a result, there's no point in even starting because I won't get that release by actually finishing it.
There's no point in starting because that would be a huge sacrifice of my life, to this one thing. It's like, I think it's just that I don't get obsessed with any one thing anymore because it's just not worth it. There's so many things out there. I want to experience lots of different things. I don't want to experience a whole lot of one thing.
Scott, my point is that as the delineating factor is not just diminishing returns. It's that how much time you're willing to devote to something in a vague sense. And you look at a game that you really like, and I don't think it's that you're saying my enjoyment will decrease as I continue to play it compared to the opportunity cost, what other games I could play. I think it's simply that I know I'm willing to spend X more hours playing this game. If I cannot finish the extra content in that time, psychologically, I will feel worse for having even tried than if I just never even bother. Because if I feel like, all right, in a reasonable span of time, I could, S rank everything. I could be like the undisputed champion of the single player game and kick its ass. Then I'll go for it because that release is all I'm actually after. I'm after that screen that shows me all S's.
In a single player game.
Yeah. I'm not multiplayer is so out of the bounds of this discussion.
Yeah, right? Because in multiplayer, it's like if I had played Meat Boy instead of Counter-Strike, I probably could 100% in Meat Boy twice in that amount of time.
Scott, if I spent all the time I spent on Counter-Strike trying to start a company...
doesn't even have an ending, but I spend so much time on it, and I'm still playing it all the time.
Now, Advance Wars, the other factor when I talk about, these thresholds of mastery is that the game is so well designed that if you get an A rank instead of an S rank, for a fact you missed something. Like there is some intellectual thing, some strategy, some solution to the map that you have missed. Because if you understood...
that you could have done better.
No, that it's not a fiddly thing. There's only one map in the entire game where there is a fiddly delineation between an A and an S. You can tell because I've played it over 100 times, and my S rank is literally 301 points. 300 is the line where you get an S. But if you get an A, you missed something profound. There is no amount of fiddliness that you could have done differently. You missed a profound and kind of radical strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The game is that well designed, and I think that is what drove me to 100% it. Castlevania DS was a fantastic game. I think it's the second best Metroidvania ever made.
I don't know about that.
Second best.
It's got to be at least third, because you've already got Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid.
All right. Castlevania Metroidvania, as in a Castlevania branded game that has the leveling up stuff that started with Symphony of the Night.
Because I'm not going to bring out all the other Metroids either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it's the game. If the game is well designed enough, it'll trick me into doing this because I think it's worthwhile. If the post-game challenge to get from the winning the game to 100% is a chunk that is reasonable considering all the other factors in my life, I'll go for it. I feel like the majority of games just have too much to where I take one look at it and say, yeah, there's no way I'm going to spend that much time, and I just immediately abandon it.
Yeah, I mean, if a game even looks like it's a huge time investment from the beginning, I won't even play the first part, you know. But something else, right, is I really do think games have to do more. If you're going to make me collect or do something like, you know, something along those lines to get the 100%, make it meaningful. And actually, the Skyward Sword has done a really good job of this compared to previous Zeldas, right?
That's good to know, because every Zelda I've ever played, what do I have? 999 rupees, 999 shells or whatever, infinite everything, and every secret I find is just, hey, you want some more rupees? Oh, I guess you can't fit them in your gigantic backpack.
Yeah, it's like, so first of all, you can always, like, in the shops, they actually have shit you want to buy all the time. And it's like, oh man, you don't have enough rupees for it. Even though you found a ton of rupees, you can't buy it all.
Minish Cap, not that that's the best example of this. Actually, it's the perfect example. It's just not the best example because it wasn't the greatest game. It was like baby's first Zelda. But there were basically an infinite number of shells to where I stopped even looking for secrets because every secret I found was, well, you've already got 999 shells.
Yep. But basically, you can always spend your rupees on shit that actually helps you in the game for reals. And on top of that, like, you can collect these treasures. The treasures let you upgrade your shit. So it's like you collected a bunch of weird treasures and you got rupees, you combine them, and you visit the guy in town. Now your shield is a better shield. And it's not just like shield 1, 2. It's like shield levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can keep leveling up the fucking
Don't tell me
shields.
that. That's dangerous because you know what I was obsessed
And you can
with?
upgrade, and not just the shields, you can upgrade everything. So there's like, you can upgrade the wooden shield, the metal shield, the slingshot. Every single item can be upgraded.
Scott, I'm taking you back in time.
Whole bunch.
We're going to go back in time to me, Little Rim, playing Link to the Past on his Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Found a fountain. You can throw shit in.
Yep.
When you throw stuff in, sometimes it gets upgraded.
Yep.
Whoa, if I did not throw every single item into that fountain.
Yep.
And then obsessed
But this
over...
is like multiple levels of upgrading for every item. It's like, oh shit. And then you can also catch bugs, which is actually kind of really hard. You really need to slowly walk up to the bug, and you actually wield the net with the Wiimote, and you have to grab the bug. And I think the bugs actually do something too, besides just collect them all.
Do they let you fish?
I think they get you rupees to buy. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the bugs actually do something. I'm just trying to figure out what, because I haven't found the person who wants the bugs yet. But yeah. So, and it's like you go to Beetle's shop, and he's got 4 items for sale, and you want all 4 of them, and you can't afford them. So good job, guys, on that one. If more games did stuff like that, you know, where... like, I actually have a reason to go out of my way to collect the 100% during the gameplay, then it's worth it. But too many games, it's like you beat it, and then they want you to collect and go back. It's like, I don't want to go back. I've been there. I've already experienced that. I don't want to experience it again in a boring way. Or going out of your way to collect stuff is meaningless shit like shells, in which case I don't even want to go out of my way to get secrets during the first playthrough. So, yeah. 100%ing for kids with no time... for people who value achievements.
Or sometimes a result of a game being very well designed.
Or maybe you're obsessed in this competition, and it's who can get it 100% first.
Yeah, that could.
There might be
there
could be a prize on the line.
All right, 100% first in Meat Boy. Let's have a race. I'll see you in 4 years.
Yeah, maybe you just really have no video games. Maybe you just, maybe your taste in video games is so narrow. There's only a few games that you like, so you play the fuck out of those games because you really just, you don't. Even though there's a million games out there, you actually just don't like them.
See, the thing is, because we left multiplayer out of bounds, but if we want to talk about games that I play the most. Advance Wars, one of the factors that I was leaving out is that Advance Wars is ostensibly a multiplayer game, and all my practice there is very useful in case I want to play against people. Not that
if there was good,
not that anyone will play with me.
If there was a good single-player Counter-Strike, why wouldn't I play it?
Oh my god, I want to play Advance Wars with
there
people.
is Condition Zero, which I've never played, but
kids, if you'll play Advance Wars with me at MagFest, I will give you beer.
if
you're 21.
People wanted to play Advance Wars with you at MagFest, but they didn't.
Yeah, one person, and we actually just didn't have time to do it because I was drunk running around playing Jungle Speed.
Yep. All right. I think we're 100% done with this episode.
I think we need to go about 20% longer.
No.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.